last lesson, we learned what money is. Now in this lesson, before we can start worrying about our money, we have to understand where our money flow is coming from. And it's coming directly from the US government. So have you ever asked yourself how the government makes their money? Some answers might be pretty obvious and others aren't. But in this lesson, I'm going to explain to you exactly how the government makes their money and how they can influence you on the decisions that you're making with yours. So let's dive right into it. At the end of the day, the government is just not taking your money. And one of the main ways that they raise money is through tax revenue. Taxes are important, regardless if we think they are or not. It's not okay to evade your taxes. Taxes is your contribution to everyday life in the area of the country that you live in. So what you should be asking yourself is, what are the ways that I can actually reduce how much I have to pay in taxes? And if you're asking yourself that, then you're in the right place. Now, the government also makes their money in other ways. They can print new money, which is very dangerous. They cannot just flush money into the economy. We have to have a concept called, or an economic principle called supply and demand. Without supply and demand, the value of our currency will go down. So they can't just print money. And then there's bonds. The government borrows money from other countries in the form of a bond if they aren't able to raise enough money through tax revenue. That's why taxes is super important. And that's the reason why we are trillions of dollars in debt in the United States of America. But those are two concepts that are kind of beyond the scope of this video. I really just want to focus on taxes. At the end of the day, we want to make as much money as possible for ourselves. And there are ways to reduce your tax liability, but just stay tuned because there is a tax lesson that'll teach you exactly how to do that. You will learn in the future lesson those contributions that you can make, the little things that you can do throughout the year to make sure that you're maximizing your tax deductions, that you're taking every opportunity of your credits. This is especially important for small business owners. But if you own property, if you own businesses, if you have investments, all of those things are ways that you can take a tax credit or have a deduction to lower your tax liability. There's other taxes that the government tax on us too. We all know about income taxes because they come around every year, January to April. But then there's also property tax. If you own a property, you're going to get taxed in the region that you're in because they have to tax all homeowners, and that money is then distributed to help the city that you live in. There's also sales tax. But guess what? Not every state has sales tax. I live in Wisconsin. Wisconsin definitely has sales tax. It's 5.6% to be exact. But places like Pennsylvania, no sales tax. That might be great. They might be jumping up and down, no sales tax. Not too fast. Maybe their property taxes are a lot higher, right? And then there's state tax. State tax is also during income tax time, except for you're taxed on the state level. Not all countries, not all states have state tax either. Wisconsin definitely has a state tax, but guess who doesn't? The state of Washington. And so these are things that we have to pay attention to take advantage of the opportunities to lower our tax liability. Another tax is excise tax. So for people who like to smoke cigarettes, people who like to drink liquor, people who like to play lottery tickets and things like that, sugar, some things have what they call excise tax. And it's a higher tax that's taxed on these goods that's not necessarily contributing to the good of society, but people still want it, so they have to pay extra for it. So think about taxes. Taxes is the main thing and the main drive of the revenue in the United States of America. So when you see the tax coming out your paycheck, when you're doing your taxes during tax time, know that it's funding your police department, it's funding your firefighter department to save lives, it's funding hospitals, it's funding libraries, it's funding schools. Some schools are better than others. That's a totally different debate, but they're still funding it. So they're not just taking your money. So it is our obligation to help pay for taxes for the state that we live in. So that's how the government is making your money. What about you? I'll see you in the next video.